Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Super Mario 64 Part 2. Hey, we hit Part 2. I have not recorded in a few days, actually. I'm gonna see if I can do this properly. This is gonna be a pain, but I'm gonna try. I have not recorded in 2 days, so bear with me if I'm trying to get my bearings together. We're getting wing cap, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. I came into the castle to like set up. Oh no, can I do this first try on 3D All-Stars? Nope. Hold on. Oh no. This is where everything starts taking a nosedive. Hold up. I gotta lock in. Okay, that went shockingly well, given the circumstances of this being, this being the version of the game that it is. I'm very happy with how that went, but I am dreading the wing cap stuff later in the game, so yeah, it's not gonna be fun, but hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to part 2 of Mario 64. In the last episode, if you guys saw, we did a good chunk of Bob-omb Battlefield. We also did the secret slide stuff, both stars there, and we did we did every star in Whomp's Fortress with, I believe, the exception of 100 coins, which I think for the most part we're going to save 100 coin stuff for later. I did, however, realize, though, even outside of the Mario Wing to the Sky stars, we definitely skipped out on some stars we could have been doing in Bob-omb Battlefield. I don't remember which ones. Yeah, okay, no, I know which one we were missing. And I think we're going to go ahead and get both, but I didn't get the Chain Chomp star here, which is it's an interesting choice. Hold on. Properly landing on this pole not only requires depth perception most of the time, but I just kind of suck at doing it on the usual, so the latency on this version of the game definitely doesn't help, but yeah, hope you all are doing well. Like I said, I have been feeling a little weird about it's been like 2 days since I've recorded part 1, which I think is pretty normal, and I think especially given the backlog that I have of videos right now, it's definitely not the most egregious thing to be doing, necessarily. I mean, I think we're on part 8 just went up of Diddy Kong Racing today, so, you've still got 6 episodes of that series going on, and then you're gonna still have part 1 to go through. So I've definitely to say the least, I've got like a week's worth of videos still prepped, and I don't know what I'm losing my mind over in terms of worrying about not recording as much, but I have been wanting to get around to it. It's just for some reason I have been bed rotting, and not necessarily out of sadness, by the way. I know most people associate bed rotting with, like, you're sad. No, I just, you get caught in... Hold on, I heard... Okay, so, yeah, something I heard was that for the most part, if you actually... Oh, no. If you actually shoot directly at the middle coin, when you do this star... It does most of the time assure that you're going to get all 5 in one go. I was told that by a friend, and it seems to mostly be true. I think maybe I just had my alignment off. Here. Game theory. For but a moment. Yeah, okay. That makes that star so much painless than it needed to be. I used to hate doing this star. For the record. That was a really sick landing, by the way. I used to hate doing the star because I always had a tough time, like, aligning it. And then my friend basically told me, hey, by the way, you can just aim for the middle coin on the, like, first ring, and from there, you're pretty much good. Like, you literally don't have to worry about aiming anything. And I was just absolutely baffled by that. I think we're going to do Cool Mountain next. I thought about doing Jolly Roger Bay, but I will save the water level shenanigans for... I mean, you guys may see a bit of Jolly Roger Bay during this episode, because I tend to be pretty good about Cool Mountain, all things considered. So I'm not too worried about it. Slip sliding away. Yeah, so I'm not really too worried about doing water levels in this game. Ever since I learned about perfect swimming, which, if you guys don't know, that is like a piece of tech, by the way, shortcut. That is a piece of tech that exists in this game, by the way, shortcut again. That is a that is a piece of tech that exists in this game. You know, I feel like the game doesn't explain it to you unless if there's like a sign that does it, where if you press A while swimming and have like a rhythm to it at like the right timing, you actually you're gonna hear a different like swimming noise and you swim slightly faster. It actually makes the process of swimming a lot more bearable to people. I think especially if you're more familiar with the game. It makes the concept of going through the motions of swimming way more bearable, honestly. And I very much like it. By the way, shortcut. There's a lot of... I know the ins and outs very well of Cool Mountain. So this course is definitely not going to be a troublesome one. It's probably going to be also one of the more shortcut-heavy ones that I utilize stuff in, because... I just like doing it, you know. Don't get me wrong. I stand by the point that I mentioned in episode 1 where, you know, we're going for an approach where a lot of things are feeling very casual, but you're not locked to it. By the way, we're going back in here. If for whatever reason you guys don't know about this, we're going to be racing this penguin on the slide area. Now, I didn't know this. I thought that little, like, shortcut down to a different railing part, like where you kind of just dip down to an earlier part, I always thought you couldn't do that because the penguin would say you were cheating. Now, the thing is, he can say you're cheating if you take that, like, that invisible wall shortcut, you know, the wall that you can go through. If you take that whole thing, he does count you for cheating. Now, if you take the first shortcut I took, where you just kind of dip down to an earlier part, I think he rubber bands to catch up to you, but he doesn't... If you win, he doesn't call you out. He doesn't call you out. However, just because this is 3D All-Stars and I want to have an easier time maneuvering around him, I chose to just not deal with him rubber banding. I don't really want to mess with all that, but... you know, it's all good. We up. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is the thing. 100 coins for this level, I would argue, is probably some of the easiest in the whole game, if not the easiest. So, and because I literally just got 68 there without even trying. 8 red coins. 8 red coins for this level are very weird. Very weird. I haven't really developed a proper route for getting them. I think at the moment, what I kind of do is I go down, I get that one, and then I go down and do this one. Yeah, we go down and do this one. You know, something I'll actually do, because I usually save these for last, but I figure, you know, now that I think about it, if I'm over here, right, I might as well just, wow, this input latency is awesome. This is going to probably end up being a reoccurring bit in the whole Let's Play, you know, the input delay, but, like, that's part of the reason that I chose... Good to know that in this patched version of the game, they didn't remove invisible walls. Woohoo! I'll talk about that in a minute, by the way. I know in the last episode I talked about getting into the main differences with this version of the game as opposed to ones that you'd play on, you know, real hardware or like a ROM or whatever. But, yeah, this course is not going to be that difficult in terms of dealing with 100 coins. But that being said... I did want to kind of... What am I missing? Oh, yeah, these two. I did want to kind of converse with you guys about something that I mentioned I was going to bring up at the end of the last episode, but I didn't because we were meeting a little bit of the time constraints, and I didn't want to go into a whole ramble about that. So, for those of you who don't know, Mario 64 has 2 different versions of it that it existed. One was the original version that I think most people know. And then there is the updated version of the game that was only released in Japan, as far as I'm aware, called the Shindu Edition. The Shindu Edition is quite literally like Mario 64 got a patch. And it actually did patch something kind of interesting. There's really, I think it's a lot of optimization stuff, but there's two main differences that everyone points out. One that really people truly care about, but number one, the BLJ is gone in the Shindu edition. It does not work. Part of the reason that it doesn't work is because Nintendo basically made... for those of you who don't know how the BLJ actually works, the BLJ essentially works in such a way where before, a lot of the BLJ's problem was that you had no cap to your negative speed. So, like, if you did a long jump and then started holding back from the direction you actually initially long jumped in, there was no speed cap on how fast you could go with that. So, especially at certain frame rates, when you were rapidly hitting long jumps, it was just giving you a ton of speed. That's kind of the weird abridged version that's probably slightly off. But that was kind of the gist of why BLJs even worked in the first place. So Nintendo's solution was essentially to cap the backwards momentum of your long jump. Or I think just Mario in general. It's not even just your long jump, really. But this is actually noticeable, by the way. And I'll talk a little bit more about it here in a minute, but the other main thing that got changed in the Shindu edition of the game, and I'm not exactly sure, was that actually all the stuff? Well, hold on. Let me check. Am I missing something? I am missing something. Hold on. Before I leave the level. Let's see if I can do this. Yep. Okay, there we go. So normally you're supposed to go through this whole area to do this star. Yes, I know. I chose not to do that. I am so sorry if you were expecting it. If you were expecting me to take the, the cannon and everything, just the whole shebang, I did not. Because, I don't know, today I'm definitely feeling a lot less casual. And I hope you guys are okay with that. But... yeah, so back to the Shindu edition stuff. The other main thing they changed was they actually changed a couple things with Mario voice lines. Particularly, I can actually probably get it to trigger. Mario has a particularly new voice line when he jumps. He has kind of variations of his already existing voice lines where they're pitched up. That does not exist in the original version of the game. And on top of this, a voice line when you throw Bowser it has basically been removed in the Shindu version and replaced with an entirely... I say an entirely new voice line. It's not really an entirely new voice line because it's kind of just like a weirdly stretched out version of an already existing voice line. Basically, they replaced the infamous So Long Gay Bowser line with a simple, weird, stretched out version of the clip of him going, bye-bye. And it's really weird, and you can tell that it was definitely just they reused the voice line from a different area. Or maybe it was for, I don't know, I can't say I ever recalled it existing in original 64. I know when you close your DS in Mario 64 DS, it does play the sound there. Whether that's a re-recorded version or not, I think is up for debate. I don't think it's a re-recorded version. I think straight up they just used a higher sample rate version of the same recording from the 64 days, but could be wrong. So yeah, that version of the game has a lot of weird quirks, right? Obviously, the main thing they changed being the BLJ. 3D All-Stars actually utilizes the Shindu edition and kind of just, they put the game in English. So, yeah, if you noticed, okay, if you have Mario 64 readily available to you, I'm gonna demonstrate this. If you have Mario 64 readily available to you, if you try and long jump backwards, you will probably be able to propel yourself farther backwards than me. I definitely noticed a difference in how much you can reel yourself back compared to, compared to when you actually play on the regular version of 64, to say the least. Normally I go and get this cave star first. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this in order, But yeah, that's the main differences between the Shindu version. I definitely don't prefer the Shindu version. I'm sure there's a lot of small optimization stuff that maybe the Shindu version helps with. Though, honestly, if that does exist, I haven't noticed it. And all around, I think just removing BLJs is kind of interesting. I don't know if BLJs were talked about around the time, because I think I heard the Shindu version, like the Shindu edition of the game, released like a year after. What is it? I think I heard it released like a year after the initial version that everyone knows. So I don't know if people just figured out about backwards long jumps within a year of the game existing. I don't know how long the BLJ tech has been known. I know it's been known for a long time. I think there was a chance, I think I've seen that maybe it was known sometime in the 90s. I don't exactly remember, but I have a weird recollection of it being known particularly, like, at least in the mid-2000s, I remember is when I really saw a bunch of stuff about it being mentioned. But it could have been known before that, and I just don't know. I'm really not sure. Good stuff. What time are we at? Oh my god. How has it already almost been 17 minutes? I mean, we can do potentially a star or two more. I think probably just 1 star, because Jolly Roger Bay is a bit slower. But yeah, so the Shindu edition, to me, it's a fine version of the game. I think it's a version of the game that, you know, of course, you won't catch speedrunners playing on for the most part, because, again, like, one of the most vital techs that people use, one of the most beloved techs that people use in Mario 64 is no longer usable, basically. And that's just no good. That's just no good, man. I mean, the BLJ is one of the most iconic pieces of, like, speedrunning tech in gaming history. And when you have a game that's as iconic for speedrunning as Mario 64, I mean, I think I heard something about how it's basically the most popular game to speedrun. At least at one point was. I think it's still pretty up there, if not still kind of the top game. But, you know, I heard about that stuff, and I was just like, man, you guys removed the BLJ, which, listen, a year or so, I think, into Mario 64 existing, it's not like Nintendo could have expected, right, that people were going to make whole speedruns out of this, or make it this big thing if it did already exist. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there was already kind of a community behind it, but it wasn't as big. But, you know, I don't think it's a thing of Nintendo knew that there was going to be this gigantic community of speedrunners. I think maybe it was just Nintendo generally saying something that they're like, oh, that's kind of weird that, you know, long jumps can just give Mario, you know, a bunch of negative speed. Granted, like I said, I don't think they applied the negative speed stuff to just long jumps. It's just, I think long jumps were the most egregious, you know, example of the tech, right? I think they were the biggest example of where the tech with that could go wrong. And, of course, wrong in our eyes is very much right, because, I mean, the BLJ is so sick, bro. Like, you can't... It's such an iconic piece of, like, speedrun tech that you really, like, the concept of removing it just seems criminal, really. But it did happen. It did happen. They did remove it, and it was a whole ordeal. Hey, we're not fully done with Jolly Roger Bay, but unfortunately, within the time constraints of our little 20-minute ordeal, that's going to do it for part 2. This episode went by fast. I think I just spent most of the episode talking about the Shindu edition of this game. Time just flew by. I think I'm probably going to end up recording another episode today, just because I'm definitely, like, feeling like, hey, I still got stuff I want to talk about. I got communicative things that I want to talk about. So I'm probably going to end up recording again today. But, very excited, by the way, for part 1 of this series to come out. Again, still got about a week or so until Mario 64 episodes come out. But I'm very excited for when they do, because, this game is probably the most popular game of the 3 I've started a Let's Play on. You know, I think this game definitely has the most audience behind it, right? Whether it'll have the most audience for this channel, I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. But Only time will tell. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and head on out. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this video, maybe like, comment, subscribe. I don't know. It's your life. Do what you want. I don't really care. And I will see you fellas in the next video. Bye-bye, guys.